obviously the Wednesday edition, and we get to make sure that we give you the very best of conversations that do matter, and obviously telling you that all your questions that you've been throwing to us and everything that you've longed for answers for, you definitely get to find on this platform. My name is Victor Mwanza, and you and I are live on Sun FM Radio, and we're also live on our YouTube channel. You can simply catch us live on those two platforms, and also you would love to be a part of it as we unfold with the program. Now, let's get into it. Obviously, we want to give some context to Public Forum and our guest for today. And before I unveil who my guest is, I just want to pose this question to you who's listening to us from wherever you are right now. If you were to think of the oldest African leader today, who would you think of? Obviously, the answer would take you to Cameroon. If you were to think of the youngest African leader, the answer would definitely take you to Cameroon's Ibrahim Traore, and obviously some of the young leaders that we can mention on the African continent. We can mention Duma Boko from Botswana. We can mention the Senegalese president. We can mention the Madagascar president as well. We can also mention the Mozambican president, who's only 48 years old, and also the Ethiopian president, who's only 49 years old. With those young leaders taking up the helm of a nation, what comes to your mind is what we're about to answer right now on Public Forum. Well, joining me in studio from our Lusaka studios, we do have somebody who has really gone on rampage and made sure that the young people are recognized, or rather, they feel the importance of decision making. Who am I talking about? I'm pleased to be joined on Public Forum by Honorable Binwell Mpundu, who is Nkana Independent Member of Parliament. And obviously, you and I would want to trek back as far as 2015 and some years that followed, where he was actually DC for Kitwe. And obviously, he made sure that he did what a lot of people wanted him to do in that particular office, but he saw it fit to go an extra mile of becoming a lawmaker and asked you to vote for him. Well, Mr. Mpundu, with that synopsis of history and obviously putting a little bit of context to what we're about to discuss this morning, welcome to Sun FM Radio and TV on Public Forum.
Victor, thank you so much. Thank you so much to Sun FM Radio and TV for giving me an opportunity to interact with our citizens, and quite an elaborate introduction fitting very well into what we call our agenda and our desire of what things ought to be. I'm extremely humbled to be here, Victor.
Thank you very much. Let's get straight into it, Mr. Mpundu. And obviously, I want us to dive into some of the questions that people out there really, really long for answers, and especially if we are to start by asking you, what motivated you to say it is the time, or what rather inspired you to say it is the time for Abaiche to take up the bigger roles of decision making in our country?
First of all, anyone who is not economic with the truth, Victor, will tell you this country is headed in the wrong direction. Sadly, we've been with the same set of leaders for quite a good number of years. Those of you who are very good with history will remember that the people that created MMD jumped from UNIP. The people that made PF jumped from MMD. The people who are in the current government of the UPND are all from PF and MMD. So we can safely say that we've been under the leadership of the same characters. oftentimes presenting themselves to us just using different jackets. They would come, take off the UNIP jacket, puts on the blue jacket as the MMD's colors were. From there, they would jump into the green jackets, and now they're putting on red jackets. I can give a few examples of individuals that have been in leadership since the time of 1991 and the revolution that ensued then. So now, they say insanity is trying the same thing over and over again, and yet you expect different results. I am of the view that what is wrong in Zambia or with Zambia is not that we do not have what we need for us to develop. What is wrong with Zambia is that, number one, we have adopted or been using the same systems and formulas that have not given us any dividends. What is wrong with Zambia is that we have had the same leaders that have failed us over all these years. In fact, some of the leaders we have are the same people that literally destroyed whatever it is that was founded by the young people. Now, history will tell you that what Zambia is now was founded by the young people. When the young people of Zambia decided or thought that the colonial rule was not enough for us, they set on a campaign, on a drive to ensure that those colonial masters were kicked out. Here, I'm talking about the likes of the KK, Hari Mwanga Nkumbula, Simon Kapwepwe. History will tell you that these, our forefathers, became leaders at a very tender age. KK, as an example, became president when he was just around 39 years. In fact, he became 40 when he was already president. The oldest in the cabinet, the first cabinet of KK, was Simon, who was only at 43 years. The rest, Victor, were very young people. Arguably those who were 32, 29, and the likes. It will interest you that some of the leaders who later on went on to govern this country, like Rupiah Banda as an example, went into public service at the age of
26.
In fact, 18. He went into foreign service at 18. The same is for veteran VJ who went into foreign service at 17. Now, these numbers, I stand to be corrected if I missed here and there. But the story or the line I'm trying to push is that whatever it is you see of Zambia today was actually started, the foundation is the young people of Zambia. Okay? And so over time, the young people were now relegated into spectators. Okay? In football, we would call them amatambas. Okay? And it has become a norm. So, I personally, as Binwell Mpundu, have had a story to tell, or I have a story to tell in regards to how we've missed an opportunity as a country to benefit from resourceful and youthful minds. The benefit we got from the beginning, because it will interest you to note that Zambia's economy was booming in the early years, 1965 up to 1975 thereabout. History will tell you in 1975, our economy was in fact stronger than Kenya, stronger than Ghana, stronger than South Korea, as an example. Okay, now this is at a time when young people were in charge. If you look elsewhere at countries that are doing phenomenal works, countries that are making history, these are countries in the continent that are being headed by young people. Traore, as an example, who is heading Burkina Faso, is only 37 years old. But look at how he's making history, not only in his country, but across the continent.
Definitely.
You've mentioned the other leaders, just, our elder brother in Botswana, whose cabinet is exceptionally a cabinet of young people, 26, 29 and thereabout. So, contrary to those who suggest that young people are not ready for leadership, history again will tell you it is the young people that gave Zambia a semblance of development that we now are destroying every day that comes. It is the young people across other regions that are posting positive economic or developmental results. This is a scenario that motivated me and my colleagues, realizing that actually the people who does politics are young people. I was a leader. I started with PF from a very lower level. I was a branch chairperson in one of the branches in Mindolo, in Nkana constituency. I rose in the ranks and file. In all those years when I was a youth leader of the PF, we, the young people, are the ones who actually built PF. Make no mistake, yes, we loved Michael when he introduced PF, but we, when we jumped on board, are the ones that built PF. And that is a scenario everywhere you go, be it UPND, be it whatever political party, it is the young people who actually build these political parties, except they are simply used as tools. Okay? They are simply tools at the hands of the builder and the carpenter, which are discarded when the job is done. We've now realized that we need to change the narratives. Okay? After failing with the so-called experienced, mature politicians, we are of the view that we would rather deal with the immature and inexperienced young people who, in essence, have been the cornerstone at the foundation that Zambia, can boast about. So the idea of the movement for good governance, aka Ichabaich. Now, I must clarify this. So we conceived an idea that time had come for the young people now to take the lead. Now, this is against the background that we have tried these old folks, our parents, who, by the way, we're not trying to discard, who we're basically trying to suggest to that they must sit now with us on the table and lead the country into a different dimension. We conceived the idea that time had come to raise the new generation of leaders. And so we created a platform we are calling the Movement for Good Governance. Okay? But because we wanted this movement to align with everybody, because today we don't want to discriminate. There are young people who can pronounce Movement for Good Governance and others who can't. But because we are targeting the young generation, we decided to give it a local touch. So we named it or sloganed it Ichabaich. That is if you speak Bemba. We call it Chabafana if you come from these, these chaps from the Eastern as well, very down.
On, Mr. Mpundu, you're on my show, so be mindful of that. You're on my show.
You can call it, in my favorite language, Kiabanike if you come from the Northwest. You can call it Sabanana if you come from, Western Province. Or you can call it Njabana if you come from. But the idea is that be free to call it in your own language. The idea is this movement is actually not Ichabaich. It's the movement for good governance. But Ichabaich is basically a slogan that aligns with what we're trying to drive. We're trying to drive the agenda of the young generation taking over from what has failed us. The same crop of leaders that have failed us are the same ones who are positioning themselves to continue, God knows to where, and we believe is to destruction. So that is where we are now. We're believing that this country is only short of one thing: contemporary leadership. Okay? And that is what this movement seeks to do. This movement seeks to provide nothing but a contemporary leadership, a leadership that will champion, equality, leadership that will champion the promotion of human rights, leadership that will champion social justice, leadership that will champion democracy, leadership that will champion national renewal. Now, that is a catch. For us, we believe time has come for a national renewal, and I call it a resetting of our country from what has failed us over the years.
Awesome. Now I'm looking at how you have opened the whole idea of the movement for good governance, aka Chabaiche. And I'm glad that you've brought about the aspect of recycling leaders. And obviously we wouldn't want to mention names, but they're there, and they've probably said almost the same thing from time and again. Now, if we are going to bring in the issue of experience, and I'll bring it to the lowest level of experience here. If somebody is looking for a job, they'll tell him to say you need to have 5 years experience,
3 years,
3 years experience, and I'm looking at the age here, and this falls in as a factor when we speak of the political arena. I want you to justify it, how you plan to engage and mobilize young people across Zambia to participate in the electoral process and consider running for office. And obviously you stand at the helm of it, or I want you to categorically mention how do you plan on bringing these unexperienced people on board and making them be trusted with the instruments of power. It's not at a household level, it's not at a company level, it's at national level. How do you plan on doing that?
First of all, it must be stated here that unfortunately you cannot substitute, experience. In every endeavor of life, you need experience. Interestingly, when it comes to leadership, political leadership as it were, there's a very thin line on how you would want to balance experience and inexperience, vis-a-vis natural wisdom versus education. For a very long time, people have been discriminated on the basis of experience. And then you want to ask a question. These who are always pushing the agenda of experience as a reason to alienate young people from leadership, how did they acquire that same experience? Was it not by first being given an opportunity to lead? Interestingly, some of the people who champion the issue of experience today are people that have been brought into leadership without having any iota of experience. And I'll give you an example of our current president now. If you compare Binwell Mpundu today, the one many would refer to as inexperienced, they say Tarakwata experience, right? If you compare Binwell Mpundu, HH, today, Binwell has come rising through the ranks and file of political leadership, gets into public service, heading a district, being appointed as district commissioner, and we're not talking about any other district, Kitwe. And you know what that means. Binwell rises from being a DC to getting into parliament, not by any other means, independently. Okay?
Wait, you skipped something.
President...
After being rejected for some time.
Oh, yeah. After being rejected twice, okay, at adoption, Binwell decides to walk solo and is in parliament today. I think that I would be blowing my own trumpet if I spoke of my record at parliament. I think that I have done the best I could in terms of parliamentary discourse. I think I've given it my best. Now, President HH comes on the scene. Of course, he led a political party founded by Mazoka. No experience at public life in terms of public service. He was in private sector only. Okay? Never held any government position, never held anything else other than leading UPND. You make him president. But today, you or people want to say we need to only give those who are experienced to lead the country. We are not suggesting through this movement that we must discard all those old folks. Our suggestion is that we need to allow the old folks to sit on this side of the table and allow the young people to sit on this side of the table whilst these are still alive, so that the experience, the wisdom can then be passed on to the young people. Now, we've seen the missing link to building the new crop of leaders being the political will. There's never been political will in Zambia or among many leaders in Zambia to groom the young people. Only one leader I know, in fact two, with exceptions. KK was exceptional in building a new crop of leaders. That is how come these who became to be leaders, Michael Sat as an example, went through the hands of KK. Rupia Banda went through the hands of KK. People like Mohabi Lungu are now championing other political interests, also all went through the hands of Keke. Keke was deliberate about building that crop of leaders. The last one we saw was President Edgar Lungu Maiso, rest in peace. Under the reign of President Lungu is when we saw quite a good number of young people being given positions. I remember there was my brother Chandakawe becoming national coordinator. I remember myself being given an opportunity to lead Kitwe alongside my brother Christopher Kangombe. You know, in the Copper Belt we had people like Nathan Chand, and in many other, including, you know, my brother Honorable Kabuswe, Minister of Mines now, who was made mayor at a very tender age. That is to speak of the leadership we have had, who I think took it personal in building the new crop of leaders. Other than that, we've never seen any deliberate intention and plans for any of the other leaders to prop up new leaders. But even with all that account I have given, I suffered the worst form of discrimination in my own house when I was part of the PF. That every other time that I wanted to now go to Parliament, they will give excuse, you are young, you have no money, and I would be left out of the adoption 2016, 2021. It is at that point when we thought, in a relationship, I always tell people, if you are not appreciated, walk away. And that is why a few young people like myself, Honorable Mnia Zulu, Honorable JJ, and many others decided to walk solo, because we believed that loyalty must be double-sided. Even with a dog, they say, ukuteke mbwa mano, to keep dog in sense. Without sense, the dog will go. All right?
Definitely.
To keep a relationship, it must be one-sided. Okay? Even a dog, if you're feeding it, it will bark. If you don't feed it, it will not bark. So we decided to go solo, most of us as young people. But now we find an opportunity that we must not continue to walk solo. Let's create a platform to be able to pass on the experience we have amassed over the years to building the new set of Zambian leaders. So to answer your question, what we've done as a starting point is to create a platform which has been the missing link. This platform being called the Movement for Good Governance, aka Ichabaiche, will focus on building new leaders. And I'm so proud today already results are beginning to show. We have appointed as a national spokesperson a young man called Chabota. Before our eyes, the whole country is seeing how Chabota is transforming into a national leader. We've built a young man in Ndola whom we are, positioning to run for the Ndola Central seat, called Christopher Kangombe Jr. Before our eyes, we are seeing a young man becoming a national leader, and many other young people that we are already grooming. And before our eyes as a nation, we are seeing them becoming national leaders. So being deliberate is what we've done, create a platform, and then begin to invite young people to come on board so that we can then pass on the little experience we have gotten. Or make no mistake, we are quite experienced. Remember, I have now spent 19 years of my life doing politics. You cannot say I have, contrary to those who says I have no experience. 19 years is not a joke.
And that is my question. If you were to break it down to somebody who's probably asking themselves the same question I'm asking myself right now, what exactly is that experience they refer to? I know you've said no, they want you to perhaps be, but what exactly is that experience they talk about? Is it you running public office? Well, 887 has never run for public office.
I have.
You have. Those are some of the differences that we have here. Now, let me mention some of the names that pop up when we say the young people are coming out. All right. Apart from yourself, we hear of Mark Mlaza Kaira. He's also come out expressing some serious interest on a parliamentary level. But if we were to say Binwell Mpundu, Akim Anton Njovu, and Simon Mulenga Mwila, these are the names that will come out and say we can definitely take up the helm of bigger offices 2026. Now, I want you to speak of the togetherness as far as this Ichabaiche is concerned. And my question is coming with a background of They say you only want to quicken the way to your wealth. They say you only want to experience the betterness that people who have been in public office have enjoyed or have earned with time. What exactly is going on here? Togetherness? Enjoying each other, and then benefiting on that bedrock? What exactly is the sole purpose of this? And just the togetherness is what we want to find out here. Are you working together?
Victor, like you rightfully put it, first of all, you must appreciate that we are coming from, a point where it was almost a taboo for young people to sit where we're sitting, some of us. It was considered quite strange for a young person like me, for a young person like the Nalolo MP, who is the youngest in Parliament, Jinsenga Munia, to go to Parliament, because Parliament many thought was, for the old folks. We've defied that myth, okay? And interestingly so, by not riding on the backs of established political entities. We defied that assertions of myth by going it the independent way. That is how some of us have found ourselves that way. So for those who thought Parliament or leadership at national level is not for young people, I think that we've crossed that bridge and basically defied, or taken away that myth. Now, because we have struggled over time, we've basically been trying to find feet, okay, trying to establish ourselves, and oftentimes you see this person is pushing in that direction, that person is pushing. As an example, Binwell is going in the Ichaba way, Mr. Njovu is going the Democratic Union way, my brother Mwenda, Kasonde Mwenda is pushing it the other way, Simon is the other side, and many other, including Antonio, is also pushing it the other way. Now, you can understand that it's because of where we're coming from, where, like they say, we're basically, thrown into you swim or you are going to die kind of a situation. And here we are, now we've seen that it is possible for young people to lead. Perhaps the most interesting part would be, is it possible that these young people can now come together? Now, in democratic dispensation, it is not always the best to suggest that everybody must come together. But otherwise, what is democracy? What is plural politics if we are all going to insist that everybody must swim, together? I think the meaning of democracy is walking away from a singular approach to politics, to plural, meaning that you can also champion, your own interests. They can champion your own interests. But there comes a time when you say, if we are driving the same agenda, why not align? So it's a question of all these young political players on the game today. Are they championing the same interests? Because two cannot work together unless they agree, so the Bible says.
Definitely.
So the common denominator can be youth or young age. But what can only bring us together is if we align in thoughts and approaches, which is something that we may now have to look at. As an example, I've sat down with my brother, the Democratic Union president. We've looked at what they are championing and what we are championing. It is possible that Simon, Akim Njovu and myself will one day work together. I have sat down with my brother, Christopher Kangombe, as an example. We've asked ourselves, what are your interests? What is my interest? We have common interests. It is possible that Christopher Kangombe and myself will work together one day. I have sat down and I've spoken to friends like, Kasonde Mwenda, and I've listened to him speak. It looks like all of us, a few of us so far, are driving the country into, or are hoping to drive the country into the same direction, which is why I think we can align.
I'm going to hold you on that one. I'm thinking, as you tell me to, as you mention all these names, at the back of my mind, there's a name that has actually snapped. There's a Tonsi Alliance that is coming with all these people saying, let's get together and unsettle HH in 2026. you have sat down with these few individuals as the young people, the young leaders who are aspiring for office next year, which is in the next 2 months. Have you thought of saying, guys, we can unsettle these old foxes? We can remove them and take over the helm of power in 2026 if we form perhaps what we can call Ichawa Alliance?
Maybe, speaking for myself, maybe the interest is not per se to remove HH. Okay? Maybe the interest of the other young people may not be per se to remove a particular leader.
Let's first
maybe that's the reason.
Let's
maybe,
first understand
Yeah.
this. When we say movement for
Good governance.
Ichawa,
Exactly.
Are you planning on bringing a lot of young people into parliament, or are you trying to vie for presidency and probably go head on with 887 2026?
So the starting point is what has gone wrong in this country. The type of leadership we have now. And we believe that what they're trying to champion is contrary to what Zambia desires now. What has broken down is a style of leadership, and our governance record has broken down. Remember, governance is at the helm, as the cornerstone of our prosperity. We've named our movement Good Governance because we believe that's a starting point. When you have proper governance systems, everything just falls in place. So our preoccupation as a movement is ideally, let's prop up a new crop of leaders that will champion these virtues. Number one, good governance. We are a three-pillared movement. We are championing good governance. We are championing economic emancipation of our people, and as well as our independence economically as a country, because we believe 61 years after independence, we cannot still continue to trek with a begging bow to the West when we have plenty of resources, which, if properly harnessed, can give us all the dividends we need. We don't believe with all this wealth we are swimming in, our people must continue to wallow in abject poverty. Okay? We believe that for us to attain these two pillars, good governance, because the governance record of our country has fallen the worst in history. So, for us, we believe that we've tried all these folks, and what we've gotten are very bad results. So we have now set ourselves on to raising a new generation of leaders, realizing that the times have moved. Today, you need a leadership that is alive to the challenges as well as the opportunities that lies therein. I'll give you a basic example that I always give that would distinguish the difference between a leader of yesterday and a leader of now. If you take as an example, I want to give this because versus HH, not that I am, look, there's nothing personal. I love him dearly. If you compare President HH and President Binwell Mpundu of the movement today, HH would tell the young people of Zambia to stay away from phones. Social media is destroying your lives. Keep away from social media. When he sees that the young people are not heeding to the advice, what does he do? He goes and enacts cyber laws to ensure that indirectly he kicks the young people off social media. Interestingly, he forgets that these same young people are the ones using the same social media to help him ascend into power. What is the difference with the modern leader called Binwell Mpundu with President HH? Binwell Mpundu goes to parliament and says, look, social media is our way of life now. What should we do to make it productive? Let us incentivize social media by way of monetizing it. So Binwell goes to parliament, pushes a motion to monetize social media so that the young people don't just now waste their lives on social media. They make social media a productive tool to enhance their well-being. That is a classic example of the difference between the leaders who belong to the era of yesterday and the leaders who belong to the era of today. Okay? Which is why we are of a firm belief that if Zambia is to head in the right direction, we need innovation. We need innovative minds. We need the minds that are alive to the opportunities of today. You find young people today going do bitcoins. That is the future. Digital currency is the future of this country. But do you see anything of that being pushed or championed by this government? Nothing. It tells you we're still dealing with the people who believes or who are still holding on to the solutions of yesterday. So you are beating yourselves understanding what went wrong with Zambia. What went wrong with Zambia is that you're still stuck with the formulas that will never conform to the needs of the now times. Which is why for us we are coming on the table, not necessarily to push away the old people, but to suggest that time has come to embrace a new style of doing things. A new set of leadership is needed, a leadership that is alive to the challenges, but also alive to the opportunities that lies there in the challenges we're experiencing today. So, are we about just kicking the UPND out? Yes, of course we would want the UPND to go out because they've messed this country up. But it's not just about kicking them out. It's about kicking them out, but bringing or ushering in a leadership that will bring the real change that we need. Okay? Like football, I liken this to. It is not correct to substitute and reintroduce. We believe that if we're going to substitute the old folks, we must introduce the younger generation. But please mark my words. I am not in any way suggesting that the young people should completely take over. There must be a blending. The old folks must have a role to play. The young people must have a role to play, which is why if we are going to align ourselves as a movement with any political grouping, it must be those who understand that the young people also needs a chance to sit on the table. If that is what is happening with the old folks, then we can align.
Let me just read some of the few comments that are coming through via our social media platform. That is, this one is coming from Collins. He says, what makes you better than HH? That's one. Then we have Chiluvia, who says, culture and tradition are important aspect of every society, and we can't live without them. That's one of them. Then there's another one who's asked to say, is it Chawaiche a movement or it's a song? Then there's quite a number of them. Then he says, if an economist can fail to fix it, how are you going to do this? All right. And then how would you like Zambia to be in the next 10 years? This one is coming from Shane. And many more are running on our Facebook, or rather on our YouTube channel as well. You can simply follow it as well. That's Sun FM Zambia. Click the like button as well as subscribe to that channel for you to receive all the notifications. Now to you who's listening to us via our frequencies all the way from Ndola, spreading the entire Copper Belt, Kabwe, Kapiri, Mposhi, Lusaka, as well as Southern Province, Livingstone, and Kazungula. You can simply call us on 0955 855 953. Mr. Mpundu, you care to put on those headsets?
Oh, yeah.
So that people can have this conversation with you, perhaps some of the questions that are burning in their mouths. Good afternoon. Is it? Good morning. Good morning, thank you. Who do we have on the line?
Morning, mwebera chirira bombo shani bakalamba. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mape, for coming through. Your time is up. Do remember that you're only accorded a minute of this time. Make sure that you say whatever that you want to say under a minute. Good morning. Good morning. Badike nga tibakusha kufe volume kuchilimba chavu mkwaye bampundo abali apa.
Ndife bwino badike shani kulwa nshoko. Thank you bakalamba. Mkwai. Okupanto omuntu. Okay. Mkwai.
All right. Thank you very much for coming through. There we go. Somebody has held you accountable. You were in public and he says you displayed some temperamental attitude or behavior.
Okay.
We'll answer that one, but we can squeeze in one more caller and then we get to the questions. Good morning. Who do we have on the line?
Nabomba mulishani mkwai. Zenga man, shani wakaramba. Yes, yes.
Ama difference ya mayuthi namayodwa zabana sana because amayuthi kwa tontonga nyingi sana amayuthi namayodwa zina exam amayuthi ababa mu political power but it's also tontonga ya bali future generation for chikaba mamona de for chikaba kunta chikaba shani amayuthi ya olo abakuru nabafishana ngwati 60 years kuya kumuru kusonga bali mu power kwa tapotana focus ni finish kama lakini kale shukuru bali bashani bali kindika ili bakula mind ya ile kwa mamona na rapela kuna example la direct kutira umwe kuno ba kansela bashani kwa hiyo ndio hapa tumaliza kwa tulimba mama wa tulimba kwa bakita batulimba bali kusha abantu of the fire baba kitire
Your time has elapsed. Remember, you only have a minute to make sure that you obviously, Mr. Mpundu, you've gotten something from that. Mr. Mpundu, due to a little bit of time, I want us to take a short commercial break and you will answer those questions on the other side. We'll take a short commercial. So I'm coming in with economic questions as well. But it's okay?
Yeah, very good, very good. Somebody saying I shouldn't be wished dead. You know, there was a story yesterday that I had died.
Oh, really?
Guys, those who are following me, I have not died. I have not died. I know that people can wish for so many things, but to wish somebody dead is not even politics. It's actually evil.
It's inhumane.
Hang on, guys, we're on a break.
Yeah, we'll be right right back. Pangono chabe. Can we stop? Will you stand by?
Okay. Yeah.
Stand by. Welcome back. We are still together on Public Forum, and well, do remember that we are live on our frequencies dotted along the line of rail that is from Copperbelt in Ndola, spreading the entire Copperbelt, and also we are live in Kawe, Kapirimposhi, as well as Lusaka and Livingston. So if you want to chat around with Mr. Mpundu, or you want to ask Mr. Binwell Mpundu all the burning questions that you've had or you have had on this platform, you can simply call us on 0955 855 953. Mr. Mpundu, before we went to that short commercial, we were on the phone calls. We were on the phone calls, and obviously we had 3 phone calls. I want you to respond to those phone calls quickly before we get to another set of questions.
So on all the submissions that came by way of questions and messages, am I better than HH? I'm not better than HH. Okay, HH is more educated than me. Is older than me. I am not better in any way than, and I'm not suggesting I am better. I just believe that the style of leadership of HH is actually detrimental to the progress of this country, which is why what I promise myself is to bring a different approach to leadership. Remember, Zambia does not need a superhuman to respond or to help steer this country into the right direction. What Zambia just needs is a normal human being who understands what we have at our disposal. Namely, we have proper human resource now. Compare this to 1965 or 64 thereabout, when KK only found a handful of 100 university graduates. Today, we have thousands of graduates, people that have gone and amassed a lot of experience and expertise abroad and within. All we need is a leadership that is able to harness all that resource, place them into one place where they can now unlock the potential of this country. What Zambia needs is just humanity, a leader who has nothing but love, a leader who is going to prioritize the interests of the people, not the interests of their own pockets. So I'm not better than HH, but I think that I possess a different quality of leadership that is needed in the now times. Chirabombwe ba Charles Makai says the approach we have taken is a correct one. He compares this to what happened in 1964. There were old people. Those old people passed or prior to the 1964 revolution, who were okay with the status quo, until it took the young people to start a fight that liberated this country. Even today, because in fact, I say this, Victor, the next election of 2026 is not a normal election. This is a revolution. This is our second liberation struggle. Because what the UPND government have done is to take us back into enslavement. Remember, peace is not the absence of violence and war. Peace is a whole lot. When you take away our freedoms to speak, our freedoms to express ourselves, our freedoms and rights to communicate through archaic laws like the cyber laws, you have taken us back into colonial rule. When you unleash your cadres to start abducting people right at the graveyard in full view of the public, they go and torture people and record the torture. You have taken us back into all those times when we used to face shambox from the colonial masters. So what we have faced in 2026 is not an election. It is our second independence struggle, because in 2026, we want to liberate ourselves. We want every Zambian to enjoy being Zambian, to have access to employment opportunities, regardless of the tribe and region they are coming from. We want every Zambian to be, have an opportunity to be promoted at workplace, regardless of whether you support UPND or you don't. That, I can tell you, is the reason why we want next year to come, because we want to liberate ourselves. So I agree with Charles Makayukwe that it will take the young people, like they did in 1964, to rise up, join hands, and realize that our future is about to be destroyed. And we cannot sit and complain, because we can complain all we want every year in, every year out. It will not solve the problem we have today until we take affirmative action. And affirmative action means let us come together. The missing link was a platform. We've now created a platform called Ichabaiche, where the young people now must gather those, unfortunately or fortunately, who desires to see Zambia head in a different direction. Badike bakulwanisha. Batila mwaliebo muntu ati yateke panshi. Oh, let me now respond to this. Temperaments. No, but Binwell, this I want to put it very clear, Victor, permit me. There are certain people that have said, Binwell bali ba vauga. Bala tukane nsele. I have made 3 statements in Parliament that have been called sensational, or called vulgar. Number 1, I said ulimukulu sana. Number 2, I said ichimutwe. And number 3, I said yateke panshi teambi modu. These 3 statements, some people have suggested were insults. I want to say this on TV and on radio. Ichimutwe will never be an insult, no matter how much you want to sugarcoat it. Ulimukulu sana will never be an insult, no matter how much you hate Binwell Mpundu. Yateke panshi will never be an insult. I don't know where you grow up, Victor. Yateke panshi used to be an expression our parents used to give us whenever they wanted you to sit down.
I remember my mother
yes.
telling me that.
Yes. Our parents used to call us all this. Yateke panshi will never, no matter how much you want to crucify Binwell, it will never be an insult.
Now I remember all those things.
Exactly. Now, these are day-to-day reactions to provocations. They will never be an insult. Now, society has been wired to unfairly, in fact, maliciously so, create these propagandas. They've created propaganda. But wait a minute, Victor. The UPND leaders today, who are quick to say Binwell is vulgar by saying Ichimutu, we have heard them insult in Parliament. Honorable Gary Nkombo insulted in Parliament. He actually said Jika. I will not say, because I will be the one insulting.
If we're going to say Jigala,
No. He didn't say that. He actually said the actual word of the actual insult. He was reprimanded. Our president, HH, at a rally, actually used the same insulting word. He actually referred to the late president as Kutumpoko. Nobody condemned him. Is it that when the so-called young people use words that you feel are ichimutwe, then you want to justify why you don't need?
Maybe they are taking it on the aspect of morals and values that we are brought up as Zambians.
Where were the old people brought up from? Where was HH brought up from? If HH is allowed to say the insulting word.
You are 42 years
43
old.
now.
43 years
Yes.
now. And then you're telling a man you are found in the same ground with Ichimutwe. And probably this man is 25 years older than you.
No, the Mongo MP is not anywhere older than me. That's fact, you must say. The Mongo MP I refer to as Ichimutwe is my peer. So if you are looking at it from the point of age, we are peers. All right, so that must rest this case. So in any case, there's no justification that I want to put on public, fora today that it is okay to demean each other. It is not okay. It is not okay to go in parliament and say chimutwe ulimukurusana. It's not okay. But it is not okay to suggest that is an insult. It would never be an insult no matter how much cloth you put on it. Okay? But society does not pay attention to what give rise to certain responses. For instance, there's two muntu esabuke fiati wabechimuto. But if you chitide, naba fiashi besu, kwale banga bakwa jateke punish na ulufianya. But that was not. So society is wired in a way that, number one, you focus on the reactions. You never pay attention to the provocation. In that parliament, the speakers have allowed us to be humiliated. They've allowed us to be bullied. Society never pays attention to that. As an example, the Mongo MP I said, Chimutwe, Yateke Panch, he is so provocative. He's the same one Kapianga referred to as Chief Freemanson. So you can understand, inena mwebati Chimutwe, Mairo Kapianga mwebati Freemanson, you can understand something is wrong with this character. But society never pays attention to the provocator, to the bully. They pay attention to your reaction. Society has been wired to judge the young people so harshly and give it a reason why young people must not be given leadership on the basis of what is termed reactions. Okay? And you have a reason as a society to say, the young people, by youth, they cannot be given leadership. But you forget that the elders you have given leadership today have said worse. As an example, HH has said worse, not just that insulting word, but also referring to a fellow, in fact, an older person. Because if you're looking at age, HH called Balungu Kutumpoko. He's younger. He was younger. You justified it.
Let's look at some of the text messages that are coming through on our YouTube channel. Suppose you were given a chance to run this country. What would you do to civil servants concerning issues of NAPSA and pay as you earn? That's one of the text messages that we have here. But also, you can call us up on 0955-855-953 and we can squeeze you in on public forum. And well, Mr. Mpundu, while we're at it, I want us to look at some of the questions. Let's try to squeeze in this caller. Good afternoon. Who do we have on the line?
Nelson calling from Chingola.
Nelson from Chingola. Mr. Mpundu is here. Talk to him.
I'm quite much Chingola, Nelson Shan.
We know you're Nelson from my school.
Thank you.
Echo tuleshira support chichama ichina twishiko kwebati mwebale tutangirira namukwata ko vision ingalenga ifo kweba echikwebale kwishama sikuru ukubombera pamo na imwe kukuleka amasambiriro Yesu yale yafiye apafye. I'll give an example. Every year tulekwata baleshita graduate but chito chakuli. Now look at this. Ifo kweba echefobale muna opportunities ngashakwa tinko botwa ingire mu uteko kuti twabula ma opportunities okuya bika yambo kumulika ku bantu. For example, bali kunye biasha PPF kuchingole shingi sana bye kuchingola natkwata abantu abasambirira ama future ya sana ine palwanje I condemn ukubula shite biasha PPF kushona ula byabashona wile ine nemwa ichine uleka kotecha abayichi leba ndokweba chitempye ngachapati balishibulire okupangambo industry urubinga chitamo benefit abawale kwisha match amasukuru nomba kuti abani idea isuma sana bantu abaleshita graduate on a daily basis nabakula.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming through. 0955-855 953 is the number that you're calling us on. And obviously, remember that you only have 1 minute of your time before my producer chucks us out of this place. Mr. Mpundu, let's try to squeeze in another caller, maybe. We see if at all we can get more questions. Good afternoon. Who do we have on the line?
Good afternoon, boss. Mawomba tani.
Mkwaitwa bomba. Ni mani turianda na bena? Kindly go ahead.
Number question yangi bushe munga yimwe ito mupira ekyomulera ndamulero ndolola tebwino sana nomba ngatapwe batimo ayapatifuna bintu nkifi abapupala patifuna ifirengo kwe batimo ayita alaba ikyomulera ndakubani ete mwana niste timukopereko kuma politics ya kwete basata na ba mwana wasa wadu kwete mwana wasa nga baranda satangaranda ngeta bombe mwana wasa ya bombe hapo bushena imwe kuti mwaita gwata ko ya ijila na kuti yake kwa munga.
Thank you very much for coming through, and good afternoon to you. 0955-855-953 is the number that you're calling us on. This is Public Forum. Wherever you are joining us live on our frequencies, and you can also join us via our YouTube channel. Let's try to see if at all we can squeeze in some text messages that are coming through. There's Michael's here from Sean Michaels rather, from our Facebook page, is saying, how would you like Zambia to be in the next 10 years? That is the question he's asked you. With that, I want you to focus on the two callers and this message that we received.
So, very quickly, Alex Mulenga Mwatila, what makes people change? Lekeni miebechi, impia nangula power does not change umuntu. Impia and power just amplifies umuntu efyuaba. The mistake that Zambians have been making when you're electing your leaders, you don't check our character. Character, one can pretend. If inende foku iminina, nke minebu kateka ine, ninji sakuchalo, kwebati bini wale foku ba president. I can pretend for the next 1 year, but I cannot delete my character. If you're na kula. So when somebody presents themselves for leadership, Victor, Bamulenga, start checking them. Binwell. What did he stand for? What sort of a character is this person who is fronting himself to become a leader? Ichirengo muntu achinje. Tachinja in fact ninshe fuadi ubuchushi bwa fishile fie misango. Amakata akwete ya fishile fie misango. When you give somebody who had a poor character, ni chakolo, ni kabo lala, nga mwamupela makane mpia, fiala chita manifest. So, awaba chinja ba Alex, tamuaba mwenefe, tamuaba cheterefe, because you saw them at campaign period, they, pretended to be the best, and you voted for them. As the case of the UPND is now. They came with all manner of pretense, and they carried you. You didn't check where they were coming from and what sort of characters they were. That is a problem. As to Nelson speaks to, the truth shall set us free. In Efionababa Victor, I speak the truth, no matter how painful it is, because I believe in the Bible, which says the truth shall always set you free. Inecho ndanda chintu chilipamutima, and I will never pretend, and I would never be intimidated into speaking what is not there. Now, Michael asks, where would you want to see Zambia be in 10 years? Interestingly, me and my team, we have to put together a developmental agenda. I want one day, Victor, that we organize a proper sit down to look at what it is that we want to do for the country. Because I believe, let me say this, I don't have solutions for this country as Binwell Mpundu. And it is very wrong to suggest that umuntu umo, a politician let alone, is going to have all the solutions to the problem Zambia has. It is not possible. We are going to look for special human beings. We will never find them. I want to publicly say, Binwell Mpundu does not have all the solutions you need as a country to unlock all the problems you have. But what Binwell has is the ability to assemble a people that can provide solutions.
Do you think
what I have done?
That?
No, he hasn't done. Ba HH na ba UPND ni ba mano njikwatile. They don't consult, they think they are the best. They don't listen, they do as they please, even when they know they are wrong. Binwell ability akwete is simply to assemble a team that will bring solutions to the table. What we've done so far, Victor, we have put up a technical team of people that have been putting together what we are calling our agenda, or what you call as a manifesto. In this agenda, we are prioritizing issues of education. When we form government...
Has an HH done that?
Yes, he has prioritized education, but he has failed.
Because
the free education you have now is not actually free. Parents are spending more money now to send their children to school, even when they are not paying at school. But they are spending more than they used to spend under PF.
They're buying uniforms from Kamwala.
Exactly. What free education means, Victor, ask our parents. What free education meant in the days of Makaunda is where government provides all those needs, where a parent doesn't spend anything.
Are you as movement for good governance able to do such? And if you are under a minute, obviously my producer is whispering.
If we are going to say we are going to provide free education, there must be some semblance of free education. That is also associated with quality environment, because you can't have 200 children in one class and you call it quality education, where you compromise the quality of education, or free education, where you compromise the quality of education.
CDF is at 40 million.
CDF is at 40 million. The only
Your
component...
constituents gets 40 million.
It is going to get 40 million. Today, my constituents, this is now October, right? It's now all ending. We are going into November.
Yes.
2 years to go. 2 months to go to the end of the year. My constituents has received less than 20% of the entire CDF of 2025. My constituents has not even received 50% of 2024 allocation. That is not just for Nkana. It's for almost all the constituencies.
Is it a scam?
Look, I don't want to call CDF a scam, but the actions can make it look like a scam. Because if you don't disperse the funds, how will they implement? So quickly, Victor, we have put together an agenda for the country called the manifesto. But up to now, we are not making it public because we are still asking people to input. But we are prioritizing health, education, agriculture. Not this agriculture where you give farmers fertilizer so that they can share in medals. We are looking at comprehensive agriculture, which we are going to turn into a business. We want value addition. We are looking at creating 500,000 jobs. Number one, what we'll also do is that we are going to identify major cities are going to be run under a 24-hour economy. These are going to be run like major economic hubs, and it will create jobs for those who will be working during the day and those who will be working during the night. We are going to create empowerment hubs for young people. Not Yama empowerment, Yama CDF.
Before we get going, Mr. Mpundu, I just have this last question, and I want you to quickly answer one or two here. Is there anything that you have taken away from the, let me say, the PF that you partially belonged to at some point, and the UPND who are running us, who've done it for the last 4 years? Is there anything that you have grasped as a wannabe leader? I want to put you that way. As a wannabe leader 2026 and beyond, have you learned anything from these two regimes?
I have learned a lot. I have learned a lot from UPND, namely that a leader needs to be quick to listen. Okay? A leader needs to lead through the people. The mistake of the UPND is to think they own the monopoly of wisdom. They are bound to fail. Even this same constitutional process is going to create chaos in Zambia because they are not listening. I have learned that a great deal from my UPND. I have learned from the PF that when people point to the wrongs, you must listen. Remember, people used to lament over Kadarism. Our leaders in the PF didn't listen. People kicked them out. Selfishness, I have learned, under my party PF then, can kill a community. It is selfishness of some leaders that led to some of us walking away from something we built and loved. All right? The same selfishness is what we see in the UPND today. The UPND today is the most corrupt government under, since we got independent. These are not my statistics. The Financial Intelligence Center has produced results. The American government have produced those statistics that we have actually increased in terms of corruption to 600% since 2020.
How do you know that? Listen, I want to speak on this. The American government is an entity on its own. This is Zambia. But how do you get to trust what the American government has produced that is showing what you're seeing every single day in how the current regime is trying to fight corruption in totality and also trying to improve the cost of living in all angles that they have been trying the last 4 years they've been in power? Are you telling me that if you were to be put in power, you will not have the rotational kind of planning? This is bringing me to your manifesto. If you look at some of the manifestos that have been published out there, the UPND government, the PF government, the MMD government, to speak of these three, there has been more of repetition.
It's a copy and paste.
Everybody who comes in, they'll say, we want to do this. There is nobody who say we're going to continue on where Binwell Mpundu left. Everybody's going to say, we want to implement. We will start from. We will do this. Don't you think that's detrimental to the to the growth of the nation?
It is. As an example.
But you, as Binwell Mpundu, saying you're going to assemble a team of young people who will bring in the revolution. Are we not going back to the almost Stone Age?
No, remember, government is run by the civil service. It is wrong when you get into power to sweep the civil service, the case of the UPND. This civil service you see was built over many years, and it is what runs the government. When we come into power, first of all, the civil servants will be rewarded reasonably, will transform, first of all, their conditions of service in terms of salaries from, a survival wages to a living wage. Okay? Because they do so much. They are the reason why this country is still here. But to antagonize public servants on the basis that they belong to this political party, you will never get anywhere. And that is a recipe for failure. Why UPND has failed is the very thinking that anyone who did business in the previous government is your enemy. You antagonize them. You don't pay them for 4 years. The thinking that anyone who was employed under PF who is an enemy, you will never get anywhere. Because you see, the importance of human resource at the workplace. Udawi nefie upanga ti, no upianga. Wish a document that can help you achieve your agenda. So when we come into power, we'll respect these human beings who have been, fundamental to make this country prosper. Now, what I'm basically saying is that certain things that are good are okay. Free education, as an example, will continue, but we'll just make it better.
Awesome. Now, let me I know, Mr. Mpundu, I know you and I will have this conversation at some point.
Yeah.
I'm actually selling you 2 hours of radio.
Please.
TV
We need to.
In my concluding question, Mr. Mpundu, I want you to reflect on 2021 when the UPND were being ushered into power, and we'll say 1.5 million of the youths came to the party and made sure that this government was ushered into power. Here you are, you're saying you would want to go look ahead, 2026. How do you project your representation of youths as of 2026? And also, how do you think the Ichaba Iche is going to do between now and August next year?
First of all, the Zambian people will win in the next election of 2026. It is now up to the Zambians, because the members will tell you, if the Zambian today are okay with the status quo, but we know failing to afford the basic needs, nga chakuba tabena Zambia chilifye bwino kulalala mumfimfi for over 2 years. Meanwhile amalaiti mulemo na bale twala kuli baneba nga filifye bwino for the Zambians, then they will vote back the UPND. But if the Zambian people today are uncomfortable, are not okay, are displeased with all these, the ever rising prices of commodities, the now cadres who are abducting, the darkness we have been subjected to, the Zambian people will start looking for a different leadership. And the majority of those are young people. And here I am saying to the young people, your chance to lead is now. You cannot continue to be used as pawns at the hands of those who keeps on destroying the country. So I think that the young people will carry the day in 2026. And the young people are the home, which is the movement for good governance, and the young people today, if they care about the future of this country, they must come and align with our idea, because this is the only way we are going to liberate this country.
There you go. Mr. Mpundu has spoken the last 1 hour, 30 minutes of each hour. Good governance is his core agenda for next year. And well, if you're a young person and you're listening to this, it's up to you. That's his last word. And well, if you feel the party is at Mr. Mpundu's residence, why not? Do remember that public forum is not for Mr. Mpundu's Ichawa, nor the UPND, nor the PF, but it's for you out there. Continue being part of this. My name is Victor Mwanza. Till then, it's good afternoon.